Hey guys, we have a special guest revisiting the tavern today. We have our first ever two-time guest, Mr. Mike Magnum, starving artist, man. What's going on, man?
Oh man, I was starving for another shot to get in here and talk to you guys.
Dude, I love it that we have you on again. First time, two-time guest that we've had. Dude, we had so much fun talking to you the first time. I'm glad you reached back out, and we love talking to you. So we're glad you're back.
No, likewise, and I appreciate you guys giving me some time. We're gonna jump into something that's just really close to my heart. So I'm glad to be able to talk about it and hopefully reach a few people to be able to come and be involved in what we're doing.
Yeah, man. I know before we jump into that, the thing that sticks out to me from our first discussion was that story you told about going to the garden and going up in the stands and having that moment. I just remember that from our first talk. So what's your thoughts on, AEW? Just when this interview drops, they will have just made their first big arrival in New York City. So what's your thoughts to see this young upstart company, so young in its existence, make its debut in New York City at Arthur Ashe Stadium?
Well, I mean, they've done so many big things already all over the place. I know New York is like, the place where when you did it there, you made it. But I mean, it's no surprise because they're doing everything right. And you guys know, I've been at this 15 years and I'm grateful. I treat every time like it could be the last time I do anything, whether it's on an indie show or something like that. And I'm not saying it for any other reason than just the truth. I mean, they're doing the right thing by wrestling fans, by the locker room, by whether it's a legend or a signed talent, they do the right thing by everybody. So it's great to see a company who's actually doing the right thing get good things happen for them. It's just like, they were talking about, Big E winning the title. Like, it was good to see somebody who's a legit good dude get something that, happen for him. Same thing with this company. It's a legit, real deal, good company that just loves pro wrestling. So it's good to see them make that big jump, to that big venue in New York.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that story from the guard, man. I've listened to that story a few times back. Listen to you tell it. It's one of those things. Honestly, it gave me goosebumps to hear that story, man.
Man, that means a lot to me because I meant what I said too when I said it's about the little kid in me. You know what I mean? And like the world is going to do everything it can to kill that as fast as it can. And when you do those little things to try to keep that little kid in you alive that fell in love with that dream or that maybe that larger than life character, it jumpstarts your adult heart sometimes, and it means a lot that something I just did, keeping a promise to myself, means something to other people. That's awesome. I really appreciate that.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. It's stuff like that inspires people. You know what I mean? Like you have the wherewithal within yourself to remember how it felt to be that kid up in the nosebleeds, and now you're there doing your thing, chasing this dream, a dream realized in that stadium, in that arena. That's very cool and uplifting, I feel like. But what's what's new with you? What's the thing you have going on?
So this event is it's for a company called Full Faith Wrestling. They are a licensed non-for-profit. They are legitimately they're a Christian ministry. And one thing that's really great about Full Faith Wrestling, it's not one of those companies that gets you in there and then locks you in and starts throwing Bibles at you. Half the roster is, either atheist or a different faith. And, it's not about what you believe there. It's just about reaching the community and the wrestlers and wrestling fans with a positive message, whether it be, there was one show where one of the wrestlers proposed to his girlfriend in the ring, and that's how the night left off. And everybody got to share in that moment with them. With Zach Gallen there a few times sharing his story, and they've done charity work with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. This event is for St. Jude, which they've done in the past. I mean, being a father of 2 kids, I mean, that to me was just one of the main reasons why I reached out, because I just, that's such a great cause. And I just, I want to see as many people come out. I know there's a lot of, worry still with the virus and everything. And they're going to do everything right as far as that stuff goes. And I just want people to come out and support because, look, it's not going to be $1 million donation, but if we can help, a cause that's doing something good for, kids who can't, you know what I mean, that need it. That's what it's about. And we have, Vicky Guerrero is coming in from AEW to be at the event. She'll actually be managing me that night. Cesar Bonone will be there. It's going to be a great night. And I just think it's something that you guys are one of the better podcasts out there. And I think, your listeners, anybody that's in that area, it's worth it for them to come out and just, see something good, be a part of something good, feel good, and meet some people they might not be able to meet that they see on TV every week.
That's awesome. I really appreciate you saying that too, man. That means a lot. And, I know that organization means a lot too. They've done a lot of, everything they do is so good. I know, a cruise line that it was Carnival Cruise, and I had taken a couple of cruises with them, and what they do is if you have money left on your card, if it's below a certain amount, it all goes to St. Jude. And then they have a fundraiser on the cruise to see how much money they can raise for St. Jude on every cruise. And, every time I hear that organization, I'm fully behind it. I think it's an awesome organization. And I think this is an awesome event that you guys have going on.
Now, when is it? When is it, Mike? Like, what's the dates on that?
Yeah. So the event is Saturday, October 2nd. So it's coming up, and they're on every social media platform. It's the same. It's FFW Faithful, and tickets you can get right to your phone. They have all the links up on there. It's Eventbrite, like most companies do.
Yeah.
Download the ticket right to your phone. I know there's $20 general admission, and there's $40 VIP, which you can come in an hour. You have a meet and greet with Vicky, Caesar, myself. There's a local Long Island morning show radio host that's going to be there for you to meet, and Joey Silver, who was recently on Dark, just graduated from one of the Nightmare Family camps. I'll be wrestling him that night, but he'll be doing the VIP thing as well. And if you do that, you get first come at, first serve at your seats, because all the seats are general admission. So it's a good incentive to do the VIP. Plus, if you're so able to do that, you're donating a little bit more to the charity. So it's all around a win either way you do it.
Now, how did you get involved? How did the other, Caesar and Vicky, how did they become involved?
Well, FFW is very close to my heart, and I'm also a Christian, and I don't know if a lot of people may not know this. I'm also a pastoral intern and a minister, and when I was at AEW, the last loop, it was in Jacksonville. I know Vicky shares in my faith, so I just connected with her. We started talking, exchanged numbers, and this came up. I asked her if she'd be interested, and same with Caesar. I know he's a Christian as well, and and a parent, so it was doing it for St. Jude and doing it for a faith that we all share. It was a kind of a no-brainer, and they were excited to be involved, and I'm just incredibly blessed, grateful, however you want to word it, that I'm going to have the managerial services of Vicky Guerrero that night.
Yeah,
it's a big deal, man.
I mean, Eddie was my guy growing up, and so to be able to do that is just, again, the little kid in me is kind of going nuts a little bit,
yeah.
What's it going to feel like to be on the other side of hearing somebody scream "excuse me" before you walk through the curtain?
Man, you know what? Listen, it's going to work in my favor, at least. Not, at least I don't have to worry about that being at me or towards me. It'll be on my side.
I know it's for a good cause and everything, but I feel like Silver's got a little bit of a beat down coming towards him.
Yeah, you know what? I couldn't have said it better myself. Joey, for those of you people that may be listening that might have been at that last show, which was right before the pandemic, the last show was February 2020, so literally weeks before everything got shut down. nobody was really expecting it, but I had kind of had enough of Joey, and he was actually getting ready to make his speech at the end of the night, and I had helped him out cleaning house with all the guys that were in the ring. I had a chair in my hand, and as he started talking, I decided to just crack him in the back of the head while he was speaking, and that was how the show ended off, which was a nice cliffhanger. We didn't know it was going to take 2 years to finally get that match, but here we are.
Oh, so this is a payoff then. We're getting a good payoff.
You know, and I got that stuff out of the way with the nicey nice, but Joey Silver absolutely has a beatdown coming his way. I'll put it this way. You know what? I'll give you guys this because I haven't really spoke. I haven't told anybody why I did this, but Joey kind of just waltzed into the company. You know, he was a guy who was just getting used because we needed somebody to get their butts kicked, quite honestly. And Joey was that guy. And then he kind of got, he won a championship, got a little full of himself, and I'm going to bring him back down to earth. We'll just leave it at that.
I love it. Now, since we've talked to you the last time, you have went back to Jacksonville and done a lot of work with AEW. What was that experience like for you during the pandemic, going down there and working?
Man, it's so cool. I don't remember when we spoke last. I had done the Jurassic match, right? And
yeah,
I had done the Jurassic match and the Acclaimed match. So these
yep.
Okay. I went back and the first match I had was with Michael Nakazawa, and something funny I haven't really spoken about the way how it goes, and I'm sure this is somewhat common knowledge to people that are following wrestling deep, especially this stuff. You get there the first day and they're filming some of the stuff, and I was sitting in the crowd. I didn't have a match the first night, and I kind of overheard the commentators. I didn't know they were doing voiceovers for the following night, and I heard. Next up, they were just doing like the voiceovers for when that graphic plays. And
so, yeah.
I heard Mike Magnum versus Michael Nakazawa, and I'm like, oh, should I be dressed? And then I realized that they were just doing the voiceover.
Yeah.
But and I knew at that point I was the first match for Michael doing the thing he does now, wearing the office stuff. I was expecting the baby oil and
oh yeah.
And I was kind of like, I love Michael, and I was so excited, but I was like, man, I hope I don't slip on that baby oil or something. But that was cool, and man, Michael, he cheated to beat me. He had to hit me with the laptop, but man, it was a lot of fun, and he was a very, very fun opponent. But he also, man, he might have a fun character and do silly stuff, but he's no joke in there.
Right.
He's the real deal. Like he's good, and I almost had him, but that the laptop got me. But that was a lot of fun, and he was super, super easy to work with, very kind, and it was great. And I'll give you another little thing I haven't really told anybody. So I'd asked Cody to watch that match. So I felt good about it. Michael, and if you guys saw it, he gave me a lot. He was very generous.
Yeah.
So Cody said he'd watch it, and then we got to the back and he got caught up with something else. And he's like, Mike, I'm so sorry I didn't get to watch it. He goes, you want to watch it with me tomorrow? And I was like, no, it's okay. Like, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Of course.
So, and he was so cool. Next day, he's like, I'm going to have one of the producers send me the footage so we can watch it together, which I was so, but listen, it was so nice of him. The fact that he said that was enough, almost for me. Cause I knew I had his attention at least, but then he got so caught up with everything and he kept passing me like, I didn't forget about you. But then he's like, you know what? I'm going to watch tonight. Cause he just had too much going on. So then I'm like, okay, great. At that point, they hadn't done the card yet. So I'm waiting. They do the whole card, right? They're writing everything down all the way down to the last match. Now, this was the show that the night before on Dynamite, Matt Sydal had wrestled Kenny Omega for the title.
Yeah.
A while ago at this point, but they had a crazy good match, and I'm watching it. I'm seeing the card. And they're down to the last match on Dark, and I haven't gotten my name written down yet. So I'm kind of like, oh man, he didn't get to watch that, and now I'm not going to have a match today. I only had one match. They start to write Matt Sydal, and I'm like, right, there's no way. There's no way. And they have, sure enough, versus Mike Magnum, and I was like, holy cow. And I have goosebumps everywhere. And I'm like, well, this is if he's going to, I mean, the match with Michael, I was very happy with. And even Taz, I don't know if you guys heard the commentary, like Taz was so kind to me the whole time. And
yes,
afterwards, another little thing, I had gotten a second with Tony Khan, and he was like, hey, I love the character, really good stuff, a lot of fun, and Taz walked by as him and I were talking and actually made it a point to tell me I did a good job, like right in front of Tony. And that was another thing that just, again, we keep talking about it, but like the little kid, the like, 9-10-year-old kid is,
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so I'm like, wow, cool. And this is not ungrateful at all. But then I see the thing and they do 2 minutes for the time. And I was kind of like, oh man, like I wanted to get some, I wanted this to,
oh yeah, for sure.
I still got in the ring with Matt Sydal. And if you guys saw the match, like, I knew Cody was going to watch anyway, because he said he would. And he went, and I kind of was like, hey, you definitely got time to watch or whatever. So, and if you guys saw the finish, I landed on my head and like folded myself. I shot myself back like I got shot out of a cannon from like,
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I mean, I'm thinking this is going to be, like the match with Michael would have got me, at least asked back, a squash like this. And, all I'm really doing is selling. They're just going to say good job. And that was the match that got me asked back. Because when I came to the back, Cody was like, hey, the fact that you sold like that for one of our guys, especially, being as big as you are, I really appreciated that. Go tell them that Cody wants you back. And
oh wow,
that was really cool. And again, Cody is, I mean, he's the man. Where am I here? I'm blocking out there. I mean, that's Cody's.
Oh yeah, yep.
Oh yeah.
Cody's, I don't have to. You don't need me to say anything. Cody's the freaking man. But like, I've been at this 15 years, and there's very few people that get it to the point where they're going to go, man, you're a big guy. You sold like that for one of our people. That goes a lot longer of a way than just putting on a good match, because anybody could put on a good match with the right direction, So it meant a lot to me that all he had to see was that. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
It just meant a lot to me, especially, I've been doing this as long as I have. And in the time period that I did it, I came up, and especially in the area too. I mean, a lot of people, it's kind of tough, man. You get guys that kind of pay to be on shows or don't really train, which not everybody has to go that route. But like, I always respected that, you put the work in, you do it when nobody's watching and there are no cameras or money or, glory to it. So to just have that appreciation and I don't want to say respect. I mean, yeah, I felt respected, you know what I mean? And it was just nice, even though, who am I in this, you know what I mean? In this place.
Yeah, but that's validation, man. I
Right.
mean, you know what I mean? You're getting validated by something like that. And it shows too. I feel like with them watching you do that, you said, you look at the card and you see 2 minutes, but yet you go in there and take a bump like that and sell for the guy. To me, that just shows that you have zero ego about it. You're in there to do your job to the best of your ability, and they see that and they're like, hey, let's get this guy back in here.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. And that's something too that I think in some places gets lost, and other places like AEW doesn't. Like, to me, it doesn't matter. Like, it's wrestling, right? So it doesn't matter. Like, I not that it doesn't matter. I shouldn't say it that way, but like in my head, it was like, hey, this is Matt Sydal. It doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say by it doesn't matter is like, it doesn't matter if I'm 6'10" or 4'10". You know what I mean? Like that Sydal, and I'm getting an opportunity. So if Matt Sydal kicks me in the leg, I'm getting hit with a steel bat.
Yeah.
Size doesn't matter, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's Matt Sydal, and I'm the guy getting an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, man.
Something that it has to that's just always going to be the way I think. And it was just cool that somebody was like, hey, we appreciate that, because it doesn't always happen, especially on the indies, you know.
Right, man.
Yeah.
So what's it mean for you, like being, you got 15 years in, you're grinding on the indies, and you look at that card and you see that you're going to be matched up with Matt Sydal. What you talked about goosebumps, like what's going through your head in a situation like that?
it was he was so cool, and kind, and humble and polite, and which really helped. And I was definitely nervous, but it was like that excited nervous, you know what I mean? And that's the other awesome thing about AEW. Like, I've done WWE extra work since 2013, and I've never, besides before the show, and like I had I think I had the tryout in 2015 in the Performance Center, but like besides that stuff, I just sat there and just hoped to get seen to be a security guard or something, and it's like I go here, and not only do you have guys like Tony and Cody being like accessible and like okay if you go say hi to them and talk to them, you know what I mean? Besides the fact that it's like, hey, I'm going to get to wrestle Matt Sydal. It is,
Right.
with entrances like 45 seconds. I still got in the ring with Matt Sydal. I have a picture of me doing my thing and Matt Sydal doing his thing and us staring at each other in an AEW ring forever. If nothing else happens, I have that. Like that's so cool. And
Very cool.
Yeah, and I say that humbly, not like I'm awesome. Like it's just so cool that I get to have something like that, and a memory of like that to show my kids. And I think that was when a lot of it. I don't mean to ramble on here, but like it was something for me that like I think I had to get to this point too, where I'm 32 years old, I'm 15 years in. I don't. It's not. I was talking to a really close friend of mine, and who's really done a lot for me, and it meant a lot to hear him say it. I'm not in this at all for the money. I have my own. I have blessed to have a beautiful house. I have everything I need. My kids eat good. My wife has a good job, and she's extremely supportive of everything that I do. It's not for the money. And I don't mean to sound like that guy that goes, I don't need the money, but I don't. I just love this. And I think I had to get to that point too, in a sense to, it wasn't, I don't know. When I was younger, it was like, I need it and I need it now. And I don't, and I have to be respected. And now it's like, hey, I love this. And any chance I get to do it is freaking awesome.
Yeah. Just being a part of it. And dude, that is something that's so important. And I think Sneed will agree with this, is like doing something for the love of it. When you do something for the love of it, you have no expectations and it brings no added stress on you.
Yep.
And talk about, you're a part of the business. You're working in rings with Matt Sydal at Daly's place. You are a part of the business. You're working indies. You're putting shows together with Vicky Guerrero and Cesar from the Wingmen. And, things like that are very important. And me and Sneed, we grew up, we're fans, and just us doing this little podcast for us makes us feel like we at least are kind of peripherally being able to talk to people who are in the business, and that makes us, and we're doing it for the love of it, not getting paid.
Yeah.
So I know that feeling, man. That's the best way to do something, is putting your heart into it for the love of it.
Here's how I can equate it. You seeing that you're going against Matt Sydal is the equivalent of us hearing you say that we have a good podcast.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's cool. I appreciate it. But you know what? And I think that's one thing that I think has been a huge thing for AEW success amongst a million others. It's being a fan first.
Yep.
Guys just like me, like I'm a fan first. We're fans first, and that love you can't fake that passion and that heart and that love, and it's transparent. You know what I mean? And
right.
That's where I think the other company is kind of lacking right now, and you that was what they used to. I mean, like I fell in love when it would be like those WWF Desire videos, and the My Sacrifice thing. Like,
Yeah.
that stuff, man. Like the heart, the passion, the desire. That was what it's about. That's what, for me, that's just what it's about. And let's not look past that. I mean, the Matt Sydal thing was a very pivotal match in my career right now. But like, then I came back and wrestled Billy Gunn. I got there with Billy Gunn. Yeah, I threw a punch and a kick, and he crotch chopped me. And if you go back and watch it, I sold the crotch chop. Because if you go now, I don't know if you noticed it, but if you go back and watch it now, you'll see me sell the crotch chop, because I'm like, what are you kidding me? The freaking middle schooler, high schooler kid in me ever got told he was going to get crotch chopped by Billy Gunn in the ring? Like, and then getting to work in there with guys like Brian Cage and Ricky Starks on Elevation, and having Big Show and Tony Show. I'm sorry, not Big Paul White and Tony Schiavone calling the match. Hearing Paul White say my name and Tony Schiavone say my name, it was like, those are the things you can't fake, the feeling you get.
Right.
When you hear things like that, when you experience things that, when you live stuff like that, and then to go back and be able there's times I go back and watch it, and it doesn't, you know what I mean? It still doesn't compute in my head. It's just, man, it's one of those things you can't. I ramble sometimes because you can't. It's just impossible even to put it into words sometimes. You have to just feel it.
Oh yeah, man. I can't imagine having Tony Schiavone call your match, Paul White. In there with Billy Gunn. Then you've got Brian Cage and Ricky Starks who are in a hot angle.
Yeah.
That's a very special place to be, as like you said, you're not only a wrestler, but you're a fan.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm a fan first. And I don't know, man. It's even just being in the locker room with those guys, just having them walk by, or saying hello. And it's just, it really does blow your mind, and then it really like revitalizes like the little kid in you, like I always say. And even this show on October 2nd with Vicky, I'm still, I don't even know how I'm gonna feel, being able to have, someone I idolized like in Eddie, and then having his wife who's just, or be that person out there with me. It's just those things. If I wish sometimes I go back and tell that kid, hey man, you're gonna do all this stuff, like,
right.
It's just, it's so much fun, and it's so cool. And that's why I say that about you guys, to be able to talk about it with people that get it, you know what I mean? That really get it and can relate and understand, it's just, there's nothing like it. There's so many things about wrestling sometimes that you're like, oh, wrestling, but then you're like, this is the stuff that's like, yeah, man, wrestling,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And Vicky's such a sweet lady. We had her on kind of early in the podcast, and she's such a genuine human being.
Yeah, it really is.
When we started the podcast, I met Vicky, and I just kind of shot the shot. I've never really asked for an interview on the podcast, and I shot my shot with it when I met her, and I said, hey, I have a podcast, and we would like to do an interview. We'd like to talk to you. And she gave me her card. She said, email me and we'll set it up this week. Yeah. And we did. It was how long was it, Chad? It was 4 or 5 days later. We're interviewing.
It was, I think, our second interview. We were nervous, man. Yeah. This is Vicky Guerrero.
She's so awesome. And I'm sure you were nervous, but then within a few minutes, she probably made you feel so comfortable, right?
Yep.
As soon as we introduced her, she hit us with the excuse me, and that broke every bit of ice that I had.
Yeah.
I did where we were promoting this show. We did an interview on one of the local radio station that the guy who's going to be at the show does, and out here in New York, and he same thing. He was like, I was a little nervous too, being that I was the featured talent with her, and then she did the same thing. The excuse me right off the bat, smiled, started talking, and it just you just flow with it. She's a real genuine person and a real professional like that. So it's good when you're doing business with real good people too.
Yeah. So you had talked about listening to them do the voiceover for it and them saying your name. Now, did you know you were having a match, or was that the first time you had heard it?
Well, so I got there the first day. If your name's not on that, you don't know anything really. You know, you get there. If your name's not on that board, then okay, I don't have a match tonight. You know, you don't really know anything that's going to go on until you either see your name up there or not. So I knew that night I didn't. But then when I heard that, I said, okay, at some point in the next 3 days, I have that match with Michael.
Yeah.
But then the next day, which was the same day as Dynamite, which I believe it was live. So after Dynamite, we had that match. And then that was the Dynamite that Matt wrestled Kenny. And then the next day, which would have been Thursday, was filming for the following week. And then we did the match with Matt. So no, I didn't. You don't really know anything until you see your name up on that board. All you know when you get there is that you're there for extra work, and how if you have a match, how many matches.
Yeah.
Comes as you're kind of standing there. They always say it's like you just auditioned for the high school play and everybody's standing around the board wondering to see if you're gonna have a role. You know what I
mean? So when you get that, you had went down earlier in the pandemic and then you come back, like who's calling you? How does that get set up? How do you get contacted to come back down? How do you travel down there? Do you fly down? Like walk us through just the journey of going back there from being contacted to getting there.
So when I had gotten asked the first time, it was a really close, good friend of mine that had kind of thrown the word in for me and helped me get that shot. And then after that, I had, I guess just, I think it had been 3 months or something like that after the Jurassic and Claim matches. And they just I got that, the email from their little email address saying, hey, come back. And then that was when I had gotten the advice from another buddy of mine who's down there. And I hope you guys don't mind. I'd rather leave the names out.
Yeah. All good by us.
Yeah. And so then he had said, hey, want to make sure you talk to Cody and ask him to watch. And that was when, like I said, I had asked him to watch. And then he told me, I let them know I want you back. So then that was one of the only times it was guaranteed that I knew I was coming back, then I went back and then, they got to see, there's so many people, so many, whether it's a buddy putting in a word or someone who's just, and not to say that people that get a word put in aren't hustling on the indies, but then there's those guys that are just really killing it on the indies that, didn't get a word put in that they just ask. So there's a lot of people they got to look at. So for me now, that was, I think, in May. So it's been a little bit, but it's like that. They say, right. Always stay ready, always be ready. And, how did it go? I always butcher it, but a friend of mine had said that, it's always better. It's better it's more tragic to get called and not be ready than to not be ready and get called. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Always just stay ready. Like you don't want to be the guy that finally gets the call and you just are like, oh, this is never going to happen, rather than just staying ready all the time and you never get called.
Right. Right.
So I'm staying ready. I'm training. I got this thing coming up on the 2nd. And hopefully, I keep getting more looks. I mean, I've got, without exposing anything or myself, like I've got feelers out there and, there's still, some stuff going on. So I'm just getting myself in the best shape I can. And like I was saying before, the whole starving artist character, I mean, it's funny because at first glance, it's like, so you're just like a starving, you're an artist. It's just like a hokey 90s gimmick. And it's really just what the guys always told me. It's the most successful characters are the ones that are an extension of yourself with the volume turned all the way up. And this is what I am. I'm not, my kids eat good. I'm not hungry. I don't need the money. It's that I'm an artist that's just starving for the proper canvas to go and put my, what's going on up here out there onto a canvas. And I think that was something that I think I'm still hoping to get the opportunity to show. Cause I think the one thing, if I could say there was feedback of a lot of people enjoyed what I did when then the opportunities that I got to do what I did, but it was like, what is this artist thing? The paintbrush is a metaphor. That's my opponent. I'm going to, I'm using you as the release, as the outlet of what I have up here to put it on that canvas. You ask any artist, an actual painting artist, who they are, what they are, they're not going to have much to say. They're going to say, go look at my last piece of work. Go look at my finest creation, my best piece of art. That's who I am. So I don't, I could cut a promo all day, but getting to know who the starving artist is seeing what I do on my canvas, seeing what I do in the ring. That's who I am. That's me. This,
right.
And there's no greater proof of that than somebody who's doing it for no other reason than that you just love it.
Right.
Can't escape it, and like I said, I could be one of those people that goes, I did what I did. I had really cool opportunities. I'm getting older now. I've been doing this a long time. I can just walk away. But when you have it up here and in here, it never goes away. And
right.
Because I need it. I don't need the money. I don't need the fame. I don't need the recognition. I need wrestling. I need that,
Yeah. And it's about being in love with that journey and that process.
Yep, exactly. And, actually, another little fun insight, like you guys notice I stopped doing the beard, dyeing it. I actually had, again, I think you guys asked me this last time, like what was some differences between the two companies. And you get the email from, WWE, and it's like, don't talk to this one, don't talk to that one, don't say hello to this one. And I'm sure I told you guys a story of I walked past Vince and to not shake this guy's hand, So, excuse me, I went up to Tony and I just said, and I'm very different from a lot of the guys too, because I don't need certain things. Like I'm not hanging out in catering. I'll stand right there with everybody else and just, I belong here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Me out. I'm standing here with everyone. And sometimes I'm the awkward kid at the dance, and sometimes it works,
Yeah.
But in this moment, I saw Tony. I said, I'm standing a foot away from Tony Khan. I'm not going to say something to him. So I said, Tony, thank you for the opportunity. He goes, oh, right away. Man, I love the character, the star, the artist thing. So cool. And I said, do you have any feedback, anything I could change, anything I could keep doing? And he said, how old are you? And I said, and I was kind of like, uh-oh. And he said, I said, I'm 32. He said, oh, okay. He goes, pull down your mask. Are you the guy? And I just pulled down a little bit. He goes, you got the goatee. He goes, if I can give you, I stop dyeing the goatee. And this was really cool because, and I think you guys will get it, but maybe some people might not right off the bat. But he goes, I get why you're doing it, but you don't need it. And that, me, like, if you can get something as close to that feeling of like the butterflies and like it almost brought me to tears. And it's because when he said, I get why you're doing it, and I think you guys will get this, but I'll elaborate for somebody who might not. Look at like Macho Man, right? Like where he lacked in certain areas, he was colorful and had the presentation, like where he lacked in his height or size in his own mind, like he would do those things. So I said, okay, if I'm going to stand out and I'm going to be different and I'm going to, maybe I'm a little bit older. I've got some wear and tear on me. I can't do some of the things other guys can do. Let me do that and stand out and be a little different. And he goes, I get that you're doing that, but for the owner of the company to say you don't need that, you stand out anyway, was like, wow,
that's a big deal.
That was so encouraging and just so like it just made me, again, 15 years I've never heard something like that from someone who, like, you could tell it was genuine and didn't have to say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you're making these choices of how to change yourself to play this character. And you're like, well, maybe if I do this or do that. And for someone to be like, you don't need to change you. That's a huge thing.
And wrestling too, right? Like when did, before AEW, I mean, it was, you would just get told to change constantly.
Right.
And excuse me. So to have somebody like him say that was so cool. And I mean, my wife was thrilled because that thing on my face anymore, and she was dying it for me. God bless her. But
so
Yeah, and that was like really, and that's what I said before, like supportive as heck. Like how many wives would sit there and dye their husband's goatee to, like and do things, walk around with. Thank God we were wearing masks everywhere, so I didn't have to worry about it too much in public. But
I love that Tony told you to pull it down, and then as you pull it down, he goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, I know you."
yeah, he also told me too that it made me look a lot older, which I didn't really realize, and he said it makes you, that's why he asked me how old I was, because he said it made me look older, and he just said you don't need it, man. So sure enough, the next year, and that was after Seidel, so I flew home, dyed it back black, and then was back there. And another cool little story, like I went back, I got there, and I'm like, I wonder if he's gonna remember, like it's like 2 weeks later. And I'm thinking, is he going to remember all the things he does, But I'm like, I'm going to do what he said. I'm going to listen to him, of course. And so I went back. I had the match with the Gun Club. And everybody went out the ring and off to the side. And I went, like I told you, I'm not like her. I went the other way. I went through Gorilla, so I made sure that I saw Tony. I even went through the tunnel that I knew I'd pass him on. So I come through. I go through the tunnel, and he's standing up, like ready for me almost. And I walk up, and I went to just go say thank you, or just, put my fist out and say, and he's got his fist out already. And he goes, "Starving Artist, thank you so much, man. Great job. And I'm so glad you listened about the beard, man. You look great. You look, 10 years younger." And I'm so happy. The fact that he even remembered.
Yeah.
Guy that's doing all that he's doing, not just in wrestling, but everywhere else. And it's like the fact that again, an extra, right? Like the fact that he remembered and made it a point to say it looked good and to tell me he remembered.
Right.
And that's just stuff in wrestling. And like, is someone listening to this that isn't a huge wrestling person? I'm like, so what? Like, that's how you should, but it's not like that normally,
Right. Right.
And so that was just so cool, man, and then it was so cool, like everybody, like Cody, and I think Dustin was sitting there, and Starving Artist, man, Starving Artist, looking great, like
yeah.
Like, just, it was just, man, just stuff that 5 or 6 years of like the extra work for WWE, just getting like, look, I don't want to bash it. A lot of the, like, you just get treated like an annoyance, or like, what are you doing here? Like, leave me alone. Don't say hello to me. And then, listen, don't get me wrong. There's other people that were incredibly kind and nice, normal and welcoming, but a lot of it, you kind of feel either invisible or like you're just always in the way over there. So to not feel that way and to feel like a part of the team, it was just really nice,
that's great.
Yeah, it was just great, man. It really was. I can go on and on about it because it's such an awesome experience.
So with the charity, you're a man of faith. You talk about how this charity's a Christian-based nonprofit. We always hear about AEW being, all-inclusive, very accepting. What's it like being a man of faith and being backstage at these events where you have, all shapes, size, creeds? Everyone is represented in this company. They really hang their hat on being accepting of all people, religions, orientations, everything. So what's it like being a man of faith and kind of interacting with that company backstage?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. And this is another reason why I said this about you guys. You have great questions, smart, well thought out. It's just, I appreciate those things so much. It's not always like that. But man, it's a good opportunity to say, I'll start right off. I'm not a religious person. I don't like religion. I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in like organized, rules. And I just think religion is nonsense. It's what causes arguments and wars and makes people come against each other that may be genuinely, in that faith. And I just think that, sorry guys, I'm just gonna take a little drink. Excuse me.
Sure.
Otherwise I'd be hacking in your ears. I'm thinking of the right way to say this so I don't come off a little, like, I don't want to come off arrogant or anything, but it took a long time for me to get to this place, but I believe what is said. I believe that how Jesus put it, come as you are, you know. When you start to get into the rules and the no meat on Fridays, and you know, that's not what it's not even what he was about. It was about accepting everybody as they are and being who you believe you're supposed and you're called to be. You know, it's about faith. And I always tell everybody when I'm at the full faith events, the first, and anybody who's ever been there will say it to you. The first thing I always tell everyone is you don't have to believe to belong here. It's about coming as you are and doing something for nothing else but the good of what you're doing. And that's why I love that Full Faith Wrestling is a licensed non-for-profit, because there's so many independent companies, unfortunately, that will cry charity or whatever, and it's just because they don't want to pay the boys, or they want to try to, you know, out certain, you know, bills or fees for stuff. Not all of them, but there's a lot that do that, unfortunately. So to go that extra mile and be a licensed not-for-profit is just telling of how legitimate, you know, of an organization it is. But to answer your question, I just think it's a great opportunity to go there and show people, and there are others that are Christians. I don't like to, I'll say Caesar and Vicky because they're going to be at the show and they have no problem. I don't like to tell people, you know, names of other people, their faith, if they're not comfortable sharing it. But there's other people there that are Christians. So it was cool to be able to talk to those people about it and share in testimonies and just kind of fellowship with them too. But it's an opportunity when you're at places like that to show someone who may not be, you know, not religious, but like, you know, may not have a faith, or may be an atheist, or may share a different faith, to just show them what being and this is what I was saying before, but not coming off the wrong way, being an actual Christian really is. Because unfortunately, because of things like, you know, other churches, other faiths, other religions that put rules and restrictions on just, in my faith, it's about following what Jesus said, not, you know, not all these other things. So to be able to show people, hey, this is what being a Christian really is. It doesn't matter to me what, like you said, what creed or identity or you know, anything else like that doesn't matter to me. I love you because you're a fellow human being.
Yeah.
And that's what being a man of faith actually is. It's not about judgment and, you know, how many Hail Marys you said, or, you know, or what you want to confess to, or what you did yet. Look, I don't know about anybody else, but I don't want to be judged for what I did yesterday. I don't want to be judged for what I did last year, 10 years ago. It's like they said, like, you know, he who's without sin, first stone, right? And nobody threw one, because they're perfect. And that's, you know, that's what it's about, showing that it's okay to just not be perfect and be who you are, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a great opportunity for that. And especially in the wrestling world, I truly believe, it might sound silly, I truly believe, like, I think God has a heart for wrestling, for wrestlers, because, you know, there's so many of us that maybe when we got into wrestling and I'm one of them, that were lost and needed an escape, you know, needed somebody to a character, a larger than life character to look up to, because there was something going on in our lives that was our peace, our escape was that person, or that match, or that feud, or whatever got you emotionally invested. A lot of times it's because of a pain or you know, an issue in our lives. So I really believe there's a place for faith in wrestling, as silly as it might sound.
No, you see it. I mean, it's definitely prevalent. You look at people like Sting, Ted DiBiase, very open with their faith. I think it's very cool though, because you know, me and Sneed have both lived in New York, been around every type of person you can be around, and that's the beauty of humanity, man. I find it very interesting to talk to people from all walks of life, from all religions, and, you know, pick their brain. How do you feel? I want to know what you know, you know, like I love learning from people, and that's a beautiful thing to kind of do. And, you know, you talk about AEW, it seems like they're all about come as you are, as you say.
Yep.
But give us before we let you go, Mike, give us one final plug. Plug yourself, to let us know where we can get those tickets. For the event, remind us when the event is.
Yeah, thank you. So it's October 2nd, Saturday night, October 2nd. It's on Long Island, New York. It's at the NYWC Sportatorium in Deer Park. A lot of wrestling fans are familiar with that building and that company. And the tickets are $20 for general admission. Doors open at 6:30. $40 for VIP, and doors open at 5:30, and you get access to the meet and greet, as well as first come first serve at seating. Tickets are on Eventbrite. You can get them on FFW's social media, which on Twitter and Instagram is FFW Faithful, and on Facebook is Full Faith Wrestling. You can get them right on their Facebook events page, or the night of the event. If there's tickets left over, they'll be for sale at the door. And it's for a great cause in St. Jude. So, you got Vicky Guerrero there. You got Cesar Bonone there. You got Joey Silver there. If anybody wants to see him, you got me there. Anybody on Long Island that's listening, Orlando from 94.3 The Shark radio station will be in the house, for the meet and greet as well as the event. And it's going to be a great night. It's family friendly. There's 6 matches, so you're not going to be there till midnight. It's, a very get there, be entertained, go home remembering every match, not sitting through 15,
Yeah.
Great. Anybody, and you can get them right to your phone if you do it on Eventbrite. So definitely worth checking out if you're in anywhere in the tri-state area. It'll be worth it.
Perfect, man. That's so awesome. I'm glad that you came back on. I'm glad that you came on to promote this awesome event for such an awesome organization. We're pumped for you just to have you back on, man. We're glad that you reached out to us to come back and talk to us.
Thank you guys. And I just want to say I really appreciate it. And look, this one's about that company. So anything, don't even worry about me. Full Faith Wrestling. That's what it's about. And that's what we're on here for. So thank you guys so much.
Definitely. Now you always have a seat here. So if you ever want to come back on,
listen,
anytime, man.
I don't know if it'll be a ring, a plaque, a title, a two-time, this 2-time guest, first time ever. You guys got to send me something for that.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Whenever you want to make that a 3-time guest, just let us know.
Guys, I appreciate it.
Definitely.
Have a good one, man.
Have a good one.
You guys too. Thanks.